cops and other law enforcement people of Reddit. What were some cases you worked on that made you think, even if for a moment, that something supernatural or paranormal was going on? It's probably too late for this to surface, but this is my dad's story. He went to a call where a father had gone crazy and decided to shoot his family. He killed his wife and was looking around trying to find his 5-year-old son to shoot him. The boy had run outside and was trying to hide on the side of the house behind the trash cans. The father eventually found him and point blank emptied nearly a full magazine at the boy. When my dad arrived, they found the boy in shock, hiding right where his dad found him. Not a wound on his body. There were bullet holes in the side of the house all around the boy. When they finally got to question him about it, they asked him what happened when his dad found him on the side of the yard. The boy replied, "The angel was in front of me with a shield and he saved me. He pushed the gun away from me." So this actually happened to a friend of mine who isn't the cop in this story but is the actual family. So this happened maybe about 5 years ago. My friend is in his mid-30s. He and his wife had a 7-month-old baby and a 5-year-old son. Wife was a stay-at-home mom and dad owned his own business and had a very flexible schedule. He would take his son to school in the morning, pick him up, etc. So it's about 11 AM they call the cops because they keep hearing a strange sound in the home, sound like feet or something, and though he is sure it was nothing, he wanted to make sure. So he says the cop arrives and the first thing the cop says is, "Why isn't your son in school?" My friend is puzzled and says, "Huh?" The cop says, "Your boy is sitting outside on your lawn." My friend again looks at the cop strangely, looks on the lawn and says, "Officer, my son is in school. I dropped him off this morning." The officer looks back, sees nothing and looks puzzled. At this moment my friend's cell phone rings and it's his son's school. Apparently he had some sort of allergic reaction to some finger paints that had egg base or something in it, and became extremely swollen. He couldn't breathe and he was rushed to the hospital. The cops give them an escort to the hospital so they can fly through lights and all. Arrive at hospital and the son is doing fine, is stable, got the little shot to help him and everything. The cop waits to see how the family is doing and wants to check on the kid. My friend is appreciative and lets the cop come up, and he says that he had never seen a paler face in his life, and he said the cop looked as if he had seen a ghost. The cop said, "That's the kid I saw in your yard. I see you, nurse here. We had a patient that was dying. No family." Around 3 AM the guy started crying and asked why the little girl in the yellow dress was in the hospital. We assure him there is no little girl. He cries even more, saying, "Yes there is, she is at the foot of the bed." Kid you not, the man passed in the next few minutes. Myself and my pod partner blame the hallucination on the meds we were giving him to keep him comfortable. Next night, new patient in the room. She's completely alert and oriented. About 3 AM she hits her call light. She wants to know why the little girl in the yellow dress was outside her room. We told her it was just her imagination from being in a strange place. Not 5 minutes later the guy in the next room goes into full cardiac arrest and unfortunately we can't revive him. Of course we absolutely freak. 2 different nights. 2 different patients see the same thing. All followed by death. You know how some animals are incapable of recognizing their own reflection in a mirror? I think humans are the same way on a different level. Due to circumstances we simply cannot see the different dimensions that exist on our plane of existence. Supernatural events occur when the next plane of existence wants or needs something from our plane of existence. My own opinion. So does our dimension ever intrude on other dimensions? Do people in other dimensions tell scary stories about us? Now that messes with my head in the best way. Lol, can you imagine you are the ghost to someone else? They see you standing aimlessly in the hallway. A glazed over expression. Eyes shining with an unnatural light. Meanwhile you're just scrolling Reddit on your phone on your way to bed. Love it. Mommy. The hairy man with Doritos fingers came to visit me again last night, talking about seating 420 and saying next over and over. Not sure if you guys would want to hear a nation story, but I thought it's worth sharing. This was told by my dad when I was 12. Even now when I ask him about the story he can remember every vivid detail like it just happened last week. My dad was in the police for 20 years and when he was just a rookie, he had to conduct nighttime roadblocks meant to catch drunk drivers. They had done it many times before and this night started routine enough for them. That was until this Toyota Corolla drove up to them with what looked like a white blanket on his roof. flapping in the wind. They thought it was weird but did not see anything amiss about it. One of them even joked that this guy was multitasking by drying his laundry and driving home at the same time. The laugh stopped when the lone car came closer and all of them saw what looked like a woman in white lying face down on top of the car. The woman seemed to slide like a slug backwards until she disappeared behind the car as it eventually came to a stop in front of them. It took a few minutes for my dad's team to recompose themselves as they stared at each other as if to say, "You guys saw that right?" The most senior of them finally stepped up and shot the usual questions to the driver. There was a noticeable quiver in his voice as he made conversation and asked him to step out of the vehicle. My dad's team inspected the whole vehicle, including the boot, and found nothing strange in it. The driver was a good-looking staff sergeant in the army who was heading home from a company event earlier that night and admitted to having a few cans of beer. He said he laid down in his bunk to sleep it off, hence why he was driving home at the time. He passed their sobriety test and they started to ask him if he saw anything weird during his drive. Initially he said no, but after more questioning he mentioned that he had to swerve to avoid what looked like a bird that was flying upside down. It was spooky, but he didn't think that was a detail worth sharing with police officers. The senior then told the guy to chill out at a 24-hour coffee shop before heading home. The locals believe that if a malevolent spirit follows you, making a pit stop confuses them so they can't set up shop in your house. After some confusion of his own, the driver finally caught on and nodded in agreement. After the guy leaves, they call to the station and cut the night short. Never knew what happened to the driver. Hope he's alright. Not sure if you guys would want to hear a nation story. Come on, man. Of course we want to hear a nation story. You guys have the scariest ghosts on the planet. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Reddit After Dark. Have a good night.